Great. And so, for those of you who I have not met before, my name is Ben Madison. I was an RE teacher in secondary, and then I did quite a lot of work with primary over the years. Now I work at Anglia Ruskin University on their primary education course, but I also am the RE consultant to Essex SACRE. And this year we're putting on 6 knowledge builder sessions for each of the major belief systems or worldviews. And this is the first of those 6, and the focus is Buddhism. So we've only got Aryasara for a period of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick tour of the resources that we have been developing for Buddhism. And during that time, what I would like you to do is to post whenever you can think of any questions that you have or support that you would be looking for. Related to Buddhism. Okay. Now, the agenda for today I sent out, and I can see several people in there at the moment. And I'm going to put that into the chat now because the agenda has the links to the things that I'm going to point you towards today. So you'll be able to access them from there. There's no official slides for today. We've got plenty of other things going on. So very quickly, let me point you towards what we have. And whilst I'm doing that, can I ask you to please post any questions that you have or what you're looking for with regards to Buddhism into the main chat here, and then we'll do a Q&A with Aryasara to address those questions. And I'm going to point you towards a little bit later how you can visit Mid Essex Buddhist Centre in Chelmsford or Colchester, and how you can get Buddhist visitors into your school. But that's all in the agenda anyway. So let me share my screen and just show you the key thing that I'm going to be pointing you towards today, and that you might be thinking about using as a stimulus right now. Inside I've created a folder last year which gives us all of the kind of information from the meetings that we had, and here this red one, 2024-25 support, is where I'm going to put the things for today. But the one that I'm going to inside this folder called Knowledge Builder, what I've been doing is creating some sets of slides, and I've been walking through those slides. So here are the slides, and this here, Buddhism walkthrough. This is me walking through those slides and showing you what's in them. And this is an interview which I did with Aryasara earlier this year. And so you could access a fuller kind of version of that there. And these slides here we're going to be looking at today. And I'm going to put the link directly to these into the chat. And so you'll have access to those, but we'll spend some time with those a little bit later. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, so let me just start by, at the moment, there are no questions for Aryasara in the chat here. So let me start then by just asking you, what do you do, or what would you like to do with regards to Buddhism? Because I think that's why you're here today. You're interested in knowing more about Buddhism and how to teach Buddhism. What is it that you either do or you would like to do? If I could ask everybody to either post that into the chat or press the hand up sign, and it'd be lovely to hear from some people, so we can just start that off, and then we'll pass over to Aryasara. What are you here for today? What are you looking for? Wonderful. Okay, Catherine, we're definitely going to be able to answer that. Yes, good sequencing. Okay, wonderful, Cameron. Yeah, I think when we look at the inquiry focus on the agreed syllabus using the slides that I've posted, that should help. And maybe Aryasara will kind of give us some ideas about developing Buddhism over time, because I think we don't want a one-off there. Buddhist stories, Catherine's interested in. Thank you. Someone new, we've got a C leader here. I'm new to RE leadership. Looking to extend your knowledge. Brilliant. Okay, so there should be plenty for you here today. How Buddhist teaching affects your everyday life. Aryasara, are you able to see these questions? Because you might like to start to choose where you want to start with some of these. Nicole, looking for a new focus on Buddhism under the new Essex Agreed syllabus. So you'd like to find out a little bit more on different types of Buddhism for Key Stage 3. Okay, so denominations or different types of Buddhism. Visitors, brilliant. Yeah, we'll certainly be sorting that out. Really good to start your kind of learning with a visitor. Really helps with, I think, teacher confidence more than anything else. Well, along with everything else. Key events. Okay, stories. Key Buddhist messages. Okay, Arya Sara, do you want to? I'm just going to pass over to you. We've only got you for about 25 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah. Thanks, but it maybe I'm on my mobile phone, so I'm going to struggle to come in and out of that. So I don't know if you want to sort of maybe just read
Yeah.
something out, and then I
Okay.
can do my best.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, then. So let's just start with Jess's question. How does Buddhist teaching affect your everyday life? And what I'll ask is because we're limited on time, if we keep sort of answers to, the 2 to 3 minute mark, that would be really helpful. We can get through as many as possible. I know that's a big ask, but we'll just have to be selective.
I think, oh, and that one, probably one of the main areas would be our precepts, our 5 precepts. So that's our ethical framework. So yeah, we try to live by our 5 precepts, which is generosity, kindness, stillness, simplicity, and contentment, mindfulness, etc. So those are our precepts. So I'll always check against those during the day and kind of review where I am. So that's probably one of the big ones. And then, of course, meditation. Um, Certainly try to meditate every day. I'll do mindfulness of breathing, which is a grounding, more sort of stilling type meditation. And what we call the metta bhavana. So that's the cultivation of love and kindness practice. So the two of those go together because what we say most of us really need is integration and more positive emotion. That's really the key aspect to move forward. So sort of implementing all of that into really my daily life as best I can.
Thank you. And you're an ordained Buddhist monk, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't use the term monk within our school of Buddhism, but yes, I'm ordained, so very similar. Our school of Buddhism is actually one of the emphases in ours is it's neither lay nor monastic. We focus on practice primary and lifestyle secondary. So we have uh, some who do lead a monastic lifestyle, and then there's others who live in a household, married, both male and female, etc. So yeah, so we could be termed as monks and nuns, but it's not a terminology we would specifically use. Yeah,
What's your denomination of Buddhism?
yeah, we're Triratna, so we're from predominantly it's based on a Western Buddhism, which encompasses Tibetan, it encompasses Zen and Theravadan. Um, but it's also actually we've got more order members, I think, in India than we have elsewhere. But that stems from Dr. Ambedkar and the untouchables within the caste system. So actually, when they did the mass conversion back in I think 1957 under Dr. Ambedkar, many of those Buddhists then came under actually our school of Buddhism, Triratna. So
So,
although it's Western, it's quite predominant in India as well. Yeah.
so your school of Buddhism is notable because of its deliberate openness to those on the lowest. When we're talking about the untouchables in India, talking about the Dalit class, the
Yeah.
lowest, those who were generally outcast. If any of you have looked in Hinduism and are aware of the caste system, that's really interesting because what makes the difference between the denominations is yeah, that's a really interesting key comparison. It'd be useful for a classroom discussion. Okay, and do you think is it easy to be a Buddhist in the UK or in the West in general?
I wouldn't say easy, but then I don't think it's easy anywhere. I often think that actually, being stuck up a mountain and practicing on your own is probably incredibly difficult as well. But I think doing it in the West with the type of, we've got phones, haven't we? We've got computers, we've got social media, we've got all that stuff, advertising that's thrown at us. So I think there's always something in the way that can distract you. It's so easy to try and distract ourselves from actually a present moment, really. So I would say it can be problematic.
That's interesting what you said about focusing on the present moment, because when we're talking about, because my next question to you was going to be, what is the different, why is Buddhism not a religion as such? And part of that answer might include something that you just mentioned, because in religions we're often focused on the afterlife. And you're talking about Buddhism focusing on the present moment seems to suggest that there is not so much of a focus on the afterlife. What makes Buddhism not a religion, but a belief system? Would that be the right? Is that what you would refer to it as?
Yeah, personally, I would. I think obviously it is classed as a religion, isn't it? One of the world religions. But I think some of the main differences are, as you say, there.
Parts of the specification. Oh, sorry about that. Carry on.
Yeah, I suppose some of the main differences are the teaching of condition co-production. So that is, a teaching really around impermanence, that all things are in a flux of change. They arise independent upon conditions, and when those conditions are in place, this is in place. When those cease to be, it ceases to be. So it's more regarding rebirth, certainly, rather than reincarnation, and it sort of sits in the middle between nihilism and eternalism. So it's neither of those two. I don't. I know I've used the terminology before because it's sort of wrong views. That's not right. Other people have different views, and quite rightly so. We would probably sit in the middle of those. That it's neither of those. It's an aspect in between those.
Okay, it sounds pretty complex. There's quite a lot of deep philosophical ideas here. So, in terms of obviously, we always start by simplifying as much as possible, especially given that our audience can be very, very young.
Yeah.
That idea of impermanence, I think, is probably one that teachers would want to grab onto. The idea that things are constantly moving, nothing stays the same, and if we and there's something, the Four Noble Truths are in there, aren't there? Those core ideas. Could you just tell us in a sort of 90 seconds, what are the Four Noble Truths?
90 seconds, yeah. So the
Gonna push.
Four Noble Truths is core to every teaching, every school of Buddhism. Whatever school of Buddhism you go to, actually, at its very core is the Four Noble Truths. It was the first discourse said to have been given by the Buddha himself after he gained enlightenment. So the first one is dukkha. So dukkha means generally unsatisfactoriness, that the way we lead our lives is generally leads to unsatisfactoriness. And that's predominantly because we're always either grasping for something or we're pushing away. We can't really just be satisfied in the present moment, shall we say. So dukkha is an important word within Buddhism. It generally means unsatisfactoriness. Pain is dukkha, losing something is dukkha, someone dying, of course, is dukkha. But unsatisfactoriness is a good way of viewing it, really. And the second noble truth really is around the reason why we suffer is because of that grasping and pulling and pushing away of the things we don't want, grasping the things we do want, etc. The third one is actually the kind of the good news, which the Buddha actually said, but there is a way away from this dukkha. There is a way that we can move away from dukkha to a more satisfied way of being. And then the fourth noble truth is just actually breaks out into the Eightfold Path. So the Eightfold Path, the Buddha then said, if you follow these 8 areas as your practice, then you will move in the right directions away from pain and suffering towards really contentment. I won't go through each 8 because it's a 6-month course, but it covers such things as meditation. It covers such things as right livelihood. The Buddha said, well, if you're in a really difficult environment, etc., it's a toxic environment, very difficult to practice. Right view, perfect view. So really just gaining an understanding around what is possible in this sort of life that we have, etc. So the 8 are broken down into actually practices that we can just take on as our daily life, really. The 5 precepts I mentioned earlier, the ethical framework is all part and parcel of that as well.
So, like most religious systems, there are numbers of rules and ways of doing things. We find numbers in religions a lot. We find our 10 commandments. We find our 5 precepts, our noble truths, and what oh, I've lost my train of thought for a moment there.
Yeah. Just to say on the lists thing and the numbers, yeah, Buddhism has an awful lot of lists. It's the 3 this and the 4 that and the 8 that. But I mean, one of the reasons for that, of course, is that it was an oral tradition before anything was written down. So the Buddha's disciples would have heard what was said, and then they would have committed it to memory, and then they would have passed that on in teachings and then passed that on. So probably easier to remember things like the 4 Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the threefold way, the 5 precepts. If it all starts with a number and it's listed in bullet point in your mind, then it's easier to remember. So I think it was probably about 150 years after the Buddha's parinirvana or death that actually it was probably first committed to paper, all of these teachings. So yeah.
And we had a question about Buddhist stories. What stories do you think that it would be useful for people to use to understand Buddhism?
Yeah, there are a few books I could probably maybe give you the information to. The children's books have been written by Buddhist order members, but for children. So there's some lovely stories that are really straightforward and for, I mean, mainly for primary school age children actually, but they're lovely stories in there. So yeah, there's very many, of course, but it might be better if I gave you some of
Send
those
them to me,
details.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much. And key events. Now, I mean, that might include festivals, but also maybe key events in the life of a Buddhist. What often when we're teaching, we talk about festivals because it enables us to tell the stories. It enables us to reenact those events in our classrooms. It enables us to time it to the calendar year as well, and to look at life events for a Buddhist might be something that people would be looking at as well. What would you steer us towards, do you think, as a sort of a rich source of knowledge about Buddhism?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a list, and again, if you haven't already got them, I could certainly sort of send them to you, our yearly sort of calendar. So throughout the year, we do have our different festival days. We have Buddha Day, Dharma Day, Sangha Day, Parinirvana, that we celebrate. So those are usually on the full moon of the month that they fall within. So the date itself would vary just slightly, but it would fall into those. And yeah, we'll come together at the Buddhist Center. We kind of put it to the closest Sunday, and we'll meet there for good sort of 5 or 6 hours on a Sunday morning. And really just celebrate the specific event that we're doing, So obviously Buddha Day is the celebration of the Buddha, and we'll bring the teachings to mind, etc. What will also happen on those days, we have what we call our mitra ceremonies. So when people have been coming for quite a while to the center and they actually feel that they are a Buddhist, we'll hold a ceremony at the center for them, where they'll make the 3 offerings, the 3 usual offerings to the shrine, which is a candle, a flower, and incense, and make those offerings to the shrine. And that's a mark that they see themselves as a Buddhist, and they become what we call a mitra, which is a friend to the Sangha.
And is it possible for schools to time their visits to the centre to coincide with some of the events in your calendar, or do you tend to keep those separate?
They would be separate, but we would be happy to host schools at the centre. Of course, that would probably be Monday to Friday, I would have thought. So,
yeah.
But certainly, if they fell close to one of those days, we would be happy to sort of utilise that festival and talk about it and discuss the different aspects of it. So that would be fine, yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that we have covered broadly the things that people were mentioning in the chat, and we're going to develop that a little bit further. What I'm going to do is I just want to show you a brief recording of a video that I recorded last night because Katrina, who does the school visits, wasn't able to join us today. But I did want you to be able to put a face to a name, and I'll pass you the contact details to get hold of her to organise a visit to or from the centres. And then in that time, if you have any further questions for Arya Sara before he goes, then you can post those into the chat. Otherwise, we'll finish and we'll move into a session where you are looking at some of the resources, then coming back for any questions and so on. Okay, so let me then just share. Yeah, okay, so lovely. All right, well, I'm just going to.
I have in class time or in a hall. So I've done individual talks or presentations in classes and then repeat those if need be, or in a big hall with all of the year group. And I usually set up a shrine and show the children how I would practice around a shrine and what is quite typical of a Buddhist to do in front of a shrine. Talk about meditation, talk about my life as a Buddhist, answer any questions that the children have or the teachers. Always usually have time for meditation. So there's two specific practices in the school of Buddhism that I follow that I teach the children, and they respond really well.
Thanks.
Talk about festival days, and that's not normally quite an area of interest. And the children are usually interested in all the things that I can't do. So I tell them about things that I might have with free will and been very happy to move away from, but all the wonderful things that being a Buddhist means I'm moving towards. And that's always quite surprising for them. They're always quite surprised to hear that I don't have a long list of rules of things that I can't do, but actually it's through my own choices. I want to do certain things and I don't want to do certain things.
And do you, is it possible for children for schools and children to come and visit you in the, or to visit the Mid Essex Buddhist Centre in Chelmsford and potentially Colchester?
Yeah, that's possible. So we can accommodate, I think capacity upstairs in our shrine room is 43 or 45-ish, and downstairs a little bit less, or the other way around. So yeah, we can accommodate whole classes want to come. Or year groups. We have all the risk assessments and things to support that. So yeah.
Fantastic. Right. So you can watch that interview in full. And clearly it makes a noise when I grin into the camera that seems to shoot the video over to me, which is horrific. Right. So what I want to do now then is I haven't seen any more questions for Arya Sara. So thank you so much for joining us today. You're welcome to hang around for a while if you like, but I know you've got to get on. If you could send us the link to those the books and anything else you think might be useful for me to share with the group, that'd be really helpful. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
No, that's lovely. Thank you, Ben. I'll leave now, but if there's any more questions that do come up, I'm happy to answer them and send them back to you as well. So yeah, hopefully
now that's really helpful actually, that having a person who we can send questions to as and when they arise, because they don't always all arise this period in in October, that'd be super helpful. Thank you so much.
That's lovely. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.
Bye. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to put you into 3 breakout rooms so that you can talk this through as you go. I'm going to I think I know we've got a handful of secondary here, so I'm going to make room 1. I'll create 3 rooms and you can choose which room you go to. Room 1 will be focused on secondary. Well, let's do this differently. Room 1 will be focused on Key Stage 1 and early years. Room 2 will be focused on Key Stage 2. That's the broad area of your discussion. And room 3 will be secondary. Okay. And so you can select which room you go into. If you get it wrong, just come out, or if you don't care, stay where you are. So what we're going to be doing then, thanks Emma for that message. I'll send you the recording. So what I want to do is give you a quick pointer at these slides and the things that I think you should have a look at. and then I'll send you off into breakout rooms for about 15 minutes, and I'll drop into those and see how you're doing and answer any questions. And then we'll regroup and deal with other bits and pieces. So the slides are the ones that I put in the chat earlier, and I'll put the link in again. And what I just want to do is give you a quick tour of what is in these slides. So this is a common structure that I've created for all of the faiths or belief systems that are covered by the Essex Agreed syllabus and that you're likely to be talking about, or most likely to be talking about. And just to remember that there's a walkthrough. If you click on this video, it's me sort of talking through the slides in a bit more detail than I'll be giving you now. There are links, there are screenshots from the Essex Agreed syllabus, so drawing your attention to the philosophy, theology, and human social sciences lenses. And those are the lenses which underpin everything in the syllabus. Here there are sets of questions that if you could fill in these gaps with Buddhism, and well, we're not going to talk about how you curriculum build using the Agreed syllabus here, but there is a recording of that in last year's meetings, and I can point you towards that if that's what you need help with. These are the concepts which it is suggested that you might talk about in Key Stage 1, 2, and 3. When looking at Buddhism. It is not an exhaustive list. You don't have to stick to it. It is just suggestions to help you to explore further. Then what I have put in here are the YouTube videos that you can access that I think are good ones that I've used in teaching. There are further resources. Part of this is from the National Association of Teachers of RE, combined with some clips on BBC, which is a really good resource because it's got lesson plans to go with it too. That's with a Key Stage 1 focus. Here are the bite-sized clips of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. A vocabulary list. There is a longer vocabulary list in the folder I just showed you. Some knowledge builder slides that printable resources that you might find useful. This is a really good resource created by a contact in another borough. There are some Key Stage 3 bite-sized videos here. You see we're working up the key stages, and remember that knowledge building, it's all about knowing the next key stage, really. The next level of study helps you to teach the one that you're teaching, I think. Some great videos there. Some more broader ones that I thought were good from the BBC here that I think are still on iPlayer. RE Online as a good resource for finding out about knowledge building. It's all about RE Online, so you might like to look at that further. TrueTube is an award-winning website that has fabulous resources and lesson plans for Buddhism and for citizenship, PSHRE, and PSHE even, and so on. Natre do some really good webinars. You can get downloadable ones on Buddhism. You do need to pay for them, but then they'd be licensed. The link here to the National Buddhist Society, and then on the next slide, the Mid-Essex Centre. So this is where Arya Sara is based and where you could organise a trip to or from, and the same in Colchester, so whichever one is more suitable for you. Some videos that I've used in teaching before that I think are fantastic. Happy to talk about great lesson ideas around those. And then it is extracts from the Agreed syllabus, a bit more detail into those lenses. And here is where I think in the red boxes where Buddhism might feature or does feature in the recommended structure for the Agreed syllabus. And then just some sample resources from Norfolk. So you can access medium-term lesson planning for Buddhism from there. And finally, a plug for the best £6 you'll ever spend, I say. This is a big wall printed. You can get a printed version, but they'll send you this for £6, and it's about A2 size. Go on your wall, and that's a really nice way of just weaving in. It's all of the kind of major faiths and those that are sort of less well known as well. But it gives all the festivals, so it's just a nice way of kind of looking and seeing what's going on, and then just timing. What the conversations you're having on a daily basis with children. You can just sort of weave that in, and it's a really good way of kind of just getting that more present. So I know that was a lot for me to whip through, but I just wanted to cover everything before I send you away. And of course, this is being recorded, so you could always watch back or look back or ask me anything. Very happy to respond via email. So I'm stopping sharing. I'm opening 3 breakout rooms, and your job is to go and have a look at that resource, to talk to people in the broadly same interest as you, and to come back with any questions in a little bit over 10 minutes time. So Please do turn on those cameras and microphones in the breakout rooms. It's always it's a bit sad when you see a room with with just three quiet people in it. So find out what each other are doing. What do you already do? What do you want to do? What do you need help with? That's what today is all about. So that's 3 rooms. Room 1 for early years, Key Stage 1. Room 2 for Key Stage 2, and room 3 for Key Stage 3 GCSE. Okay, over to you. The rooms are open. Emma, you've just joined us. Did
Hello,
you?
sorry.
No,
I
no,
had
no,
to
it's fine.
I had to step away and I've come back again. Apologies.
Is your interest early years, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, or Key Stage 3 and beyond?
I'm in a primary key stage 1 and 2, so I can go key stage 2.
Okay, so yeah, what I'm going to do then is going to pop you into room 2. Yeah, if you join room 2, that would be great.
Perfect. Sorry, thank you.
All right. Karen, Naomi, are you there?
I'm here. I'm not used to it.
Oh,
I'm not sure how I get into a room.
okay, I'll move you there. So, what's your interest?
I'm key stage 2.
Okie dokie. All right, I'm just going to assign you to that then. And he should be just being dragged in there now, Karen. Naomi, are you there? Do you want me to move you? Okay. Oh no, you're sort of half here. Okay, I'm just going to pop you into room 2. We'll see what happens.
Debates, because with this, for them to understand that discussion is really, really important. So
Yeah.
we kind of are trying to facilitate more of that side of it than the actual academic writing. Obviously that happens, but this meeting is being recorded.
All right. Okay, everybody. So I've dragged you all back. Thank you so much for your efforts and enthusiasm and sharing in the breakout rooms. That's wonderful. Really good to hear people sharing what's working for them. Can I ask that if there's any questions that remain that you didn't get answers to or that you wanted to discuss, can you please put them into the chat as soon as possible? And we'll try and address as much as possible before we come to a close today. Can I ask everybody now this is all fresh coming out of those breakout rooms, what's your next step for Buddhism, for developing your understanding or the experiences of your learners? Could I ask everyone just to post into the chat now, what's your next step? What are you going to do when you finish today, in the next week, month? Give me a quick answer in the chat. I did tell Katrina that she's likely to be overwhelmed by requests coming in. That's good to see. And what will be using those slides and whatever you shared, where are you going to start looking for resources to support you in this? Yeah, the book recommendations would be good. Knowledge builders. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, you should find plenty in the drive there. Lessons involving Buddhism and the planning process. Yeah, I think if you're using the agreed syllabus, there's some nice structure there. Get over to follow the links that I've peppered everywhere throughout my slides to the Norwich resources, because they've done all the hard work. They're 4 years ahead. They've done the hard work. There's some really, really good planning out there that you can sort of drag and drop. Obviously, you adapt for your context. Obviously, you make it relevant for your students, but there's some good stuff there already. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, please just get in touch and I'll point you towards the exact set of slides that will walk you through how to make use of those existing resources. Okay, there's a few things I wanted to point you towards before we finish today, and they are all on the agenda that I shared, that I will put into the chat one more time. Firstly, use of AI. Does anybody here make use of ChatGPT or another platform to help with their planning? And yes, Catherine, I will put the contact details for Katrina. So at present, you've got on those Buddhist slides that you were looking at, you'll see the link for the Mid-Essex Buddhist Centre. I think it's already hyperlinked. If it isn't, I'll add it in there, but that's where you'll find it. It's about slide 20. So Catherine, ChatGPT, but not for RE yet. Okay, is anyone using ChatGPT for RE? Would like to tell us about their experience?
ChatGPT.
Yeah, so GPT, so it's artificial intelligence, effectively. So we're sorry, my wife is making a face at me through the window that suggests that the dog has done something horrific. Yes, I'll find out what that is shortly. I might put together a little walkthrough, since nobody here is able to share, and it will take a little while. But this is use of AI to do the hard work for you. I find it really useful for creating summaries for me when I'm trying to build knowledge for lessons and so on. So I might punch into AI, build me a lesson for Key Stage 2 on Buddhism, looking at the Four Noble Truths for a high ability group, and give me a table. I can instruct it to build a beautiful lesson for me. I'll record a little video, show you. Okay, it's always useful to know if people have got some experience there, and that's really interesting that we're not using it. So I'll send you some examples. Right, speakers and visits information. So as I said, you have got within the Buddhist slides a link to the MEBC in Colchester and Chelmsford. All of the other Knowledge Builder slides have got links to people that you can contact. I'm just going back through my mind and making sure that. And over this year, I'm doing interviews with people from local faith groups and posting their details. So hopefully you're all on my email, on my mailing group. If you haven't ever had an email directly from me, then you're not on my group. Please put your email in the chat and I'll make sure that you're just added, and then you'll get everything directly. And in the summer term, what we're trying to build is we're calling it a festival of speakers. So for all of the major faiths and worldviews, my aim is to, in the summer term, be able to give you a calendar which has all of their availability, and you will be able to book people to come to your school or to visit them with a kind of a huge amount of availability. That's the plan. If you've got any thoughts about that, that you would like me to include in that planning phase, please get in touch. In July even of this year, we had the Jewish Living Experience exhibition came to Anglia Ruskin University, is where we hosted it. And it was a wonderful experience. I'm not sure if anybody, I think was anyone here come along to that? Either the launch or the CPD or I don't think anyone in this group brought children with them, but that was wonderful. We're going to repeat that again next year, and I hope that more of you can make it. It was really good. It's about hands-on, hundreds and hundreds of artifacts all in one room, which I know that we don't have the budget to do ourselves. So if you can get along next year, then please do that. Signing up for future sessions, I've put the links into the chat. I've put the links into the minutes. Our next one is going to be Hinduism, and that is on November the 21st, same time. And so we'll have a Hindu guest there, and you'll find out how we can access them as well. So you can sign up through the link in there. The SHAP calendar I've mentioned to you already, and I'm just going to put the link into the chat direct for that. Best £6 you will ever spend in my possibly my opinion. That's really, really good and really useful. There is a link in the minutes to sign up to. It gives you an opportunity to give me some a bit more of a lead on what you're looking for. And if you're thinking about the RE quality mark and would like to be supported in trying to go for that, then you can do that there. And the final thing that I wanted to draw your attention to, that it would be just wonderful if everybody could offer something, because what we're trying to build here is a community of teachers supporting each other to do good quality RE. So I'm going to put a link to a document that I'd like everybody to open right now, and I'm going to ask you all to make a bit of a pledge, if you like, and that pledge is to support one another. So I'm going to, there we go. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to share for anybody that's struggling or maybe using their phones, you can't open this. And on this document, okay, what we've been doing is asking people to say what they can help with. Just make that a little bit bigger. Okay. So we've all got areas of specialism. But we've all got a set of resources, a great artifact, a lesson, a something we know. So what I've asked is, and I struggled the last time I asked people to do this, is to, in the left-hand column here, to say, what could you help with? If somebody was brand new to RE and just was desperate for support, what could you give them? And I would really appreciate it today if everybody could offer something. So you've got 3 columns here: what you could help with, what you would like some support with, and then what you can see is at our last meeting I started to go through, and I've got some to add here from recent ones, but then I tried to solve those problems for people. So you've got your details here, and then what it is you'd like. So here what I've then done is given people, pointed them towards stuff, and tagged them in that. So could I just ask everybody before we finish today, just to spend a couple of minutes now, just thinking about what could you do? Maybe you're a teacher of Key Stage 3 RE, and you could provide some support to, email support to people in primary who are looking for, subject specific guidance, perhaps. Maybe you are in Key Stage 1 and you've just got this brilliant approach where you're using a kind of a play-based approach to explore. I'm stereotyping. I'm going to stop. But this would be really, really appreciated, because we're only as strong as kind of the one another, I guess. So thank you to those of you who are now doing that. And I'd really ask everybody, if you just could offer something to one another. And then what you can do is, of course, you can use that document to find who can help you, and you can contact those people. So if you're looking for something, that could be your first port of call, or I'll direct you towards it. Okay. So before we go, does anyone have any questions that they would like addressed? Okay, I reckon that's the sound. That's the sound of half term coming. So look, thanks so much everybody for being here today. It's really appreciated. I hope there's been some useful things. Stay on if you've got any questions that you'd like answered, and otherwise I will hope to see you at the next one. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.